Before I ever drew a breath or knew my name, before a single step or choice was made, I was not born of chance.
Known Before You Knew. Gratitude. Devotional Series. Episode 3. Before I ever drew a breath or knew my name, before a single step or choice was made. The whole weight of these two lines rests on one small word, and the word is before. It comes twice, and you could almost miss it, the way you miss a load-bearing beam behind a wall. But pull it out and the entire verse collapses. Before. Before you breathed. Before you were named. Before you took a step in any direction or made a single choice about anything. The song is not telling you what God did once you got here. It is telling you what was already true before you arrived. And that changes the kind of story you think you are living in. Most of us, if we are honest, carry a quiet assumption about our lives. That we are the main character, and that the story started when we did. We showed up, we opened our eyes, and from there we began making ourselves. Gathering a name, building a reputation, stacking up the choices and the steps that would add up, eventually, to a person worth being. We are the authors. Everyone else, God included, is responding to what we do. And so our standing with Him feels like something we are constantly constructing, brick by anxious brick, out of our own decisions. This line walks up to that assumption and quietly takes it apart. Look first at what it says you did not yet have. A breath. A name. You did not even know your own name. Think about that for a moment, because it is stranger than it sounds. The name you answer to, the name that means you. You did not choose it, and you did not know it. Someone else spoke it over you while you were too small to understand a word of it. Before you knew who you were already someone to somebody. And before any human voice ever said your name, there was a voice that had known it from eternity. That is the picture Jesus paints of Himself as the shepherd. He calls His own sheep by name, John 10:3. Not by number, not by category, by name. And He says, plainly, I know my own and my own know me, John 10:14. And notice the order even there. He knows His own first. Our knowing of Him is the answer to His knowing of us. We are not the ones who found Him in the dark and introduced ourselves. He knew us in the dark before we could speak. I think this is medicine for one of the deepest aches of being human, which is the exhaustion of having to make a name for ourselves. We spend so much of our lives trying to become someone, to earn a reputation, to be known, to matter, to leave a mark that proves we were here. It shows up everywhere once you look for it. In the careful way we manage how others see us, in the ache to be recognized for what we have done, in the small panic of being overlooked, in the way a single word of praise can carry us for days, and a single slight can sink us. All of it is the same hunger wearing different clothes, the need to be someone, established and secure. And underneath all that striving is the fear that if we stop performing, we will turn out to be no one at all. But this line reaches back past every name you have tried to make and tells you that your truest name was never something you had to earn. It was given. It was known. It was spoken in love before you had done one thing to deserve being known. The Lord knows those who are His. 2 Timothy 2:19. You did not have to make yourself into someone worth knowing. You were already known. Now look at the second line, because it goes after the other half of our self-made story. Before a single step or choice was made. Here the song removes the thing we are most tempted to take credit for, our choice. Because even people who believe in grace will often sneak themselves back in at this point. We will say, yes, God loves me, but we secretly date the whole thing to the moment we chose Him. That was the start, we think. That was my contribution. I took the step. I made the decision. I reached out and He took my hand. And so, without quite meaning to, we make our salvation rest on the quality of our own choosing, which means that on the days our faith feels weak or our commitment feels thin, the whole thing starts to wobble because we have built it on the strength of a step we took. The song will not let us stand there. It says the love was already settled before a single step or choice was made. Before. which means your choice was not the foundation, it was the response. Jesus said it to his own disciples, to the very men who had left everything to follow him and surely felt in their bones that they had chosen this life. And he looked at them and said, "You did not choose me, but I chose you." John 15:16. You did not choose me. The men who had walked away from their nets and their fathers and their whole world to come after him are told, gently, that the choosing did not start with them. It started with him. Paul understood this about his own life with startling clarity. Looking back on the whole arc of it, his violent beginnings, his conversion, his calling, he traces it all the way back behind his birth. He who had set me apart before I was born, and who called me by his grace. Galatians 1:15. Set apart before he was born, called by grace, not by merit. Paul does not say, "I chose well," or "I responded better than others." He says the decisive thing happened before he existed, by grace, and everything he became afterward was simply living into a love that had gotten there first. Do you feel the relief in that? If your relationship with God began with your choice, then it is only ever as secure as your choosing, and your choosing, you already know, is a flickering and unreliable thing. But if it began before you could choose, then it does not depend on your grip at all. It depends on His. And His grip was first. You are not the one holding the relationship together by the strength of a decision you once made on a good day. He is the one who has been holding you since before you had hands to hold anything. This is what turns the doctrine into worship instead of pressure. The point of before is not to diminish you, as though your choices and steps do not matter. They matter enormously. You will spend your whole life making them, and they are real. The point is to tell you where the ground is. The ground underneath your life is not your performance, not your name-making, not the firmness of your faith on any given morning. The ground is a love that was already in motion before you took your first breath, a knowing that knew your name when you had none, a choosing that chose you before you could choose anything at all. You arrived late to your own story. That is not an insult. It is the best news you have ever heard. You woke up partway through a love that was already underway, already decided, already yours. You did not start it and you cannot stop it, because you were never the one holding it up. So when this verse says before, hear it as the most freeing word in the world. Before you could fail, you were loved. Before you could earn it, it was settled. Before you knew your own name, He was already saying it. And the only thing left for a person to do, when they finally understand that, is to stop building and start giving thanks.
Slips